just want to kind of piggyback on this discussion, and it sounds really complicated with all the issues, and kind of going back to, Hank Nordoff through Pat. Very simply, you're developing a list of levees in terms of prioritizing based on what the council's role is, and I think we really need to really reiterate what is the council's role, and when you look at the state's interest, you talk about a planning tool. How will you put a value on environmental issues? You can't really put a monetary value on habitat restoration. So when you develop this list, where will that come into play? How will you do that? Maybe you've explained it in your planning tool, but maybe you can be a little more, and maybe this is something you have to do later on, but I think that's important. So when the council looks at this list, we actually know, have you considered all the values? Habitat restoration, some of the islands may not be worth, may be used to do habitat restoration. So have you considered this when you prioritize the state's investment? Kind of going back to what Jessica said, the state's interest is the state's interest to co-equal goals. Mm-hmm. So when the council presents this list, will the state have a real interest in those islands that you prioritize? And so I think that's really important to reiterate what our role is, to make sure all those values are there when you do develop this list, so that when we look at it, all of these things are considered. And then the other point I wanted to make is the council charged with developing a cost-sharing proposal as it relates to this list?